Hi, guys. I'm going to wait for a couple of people to come in, see who we have today on our live law school etiquette, what to do, what not to do. If you're an aspiring lawyer, haven't started law school yet, or are currently in law school and trying to figure out the etiquette of what to do while you're in law school, and so you can set yourself up for after law school. We're going to talk about all that and more. I should have my teacup because we're talking about etiquette. Do my little pinky. But I'm going to give a couple more minutes and then we're going to dive right into the do's and don'ts of law school. And let me know, I guess as people are coming in, are you current law student, aspiring law student, things of that nature, so that we can get an idea. And then I give one more minute and then we're going to start our countdown of the do's and don'ts. So I'll give a couple of people minutes to come in. So start off. And if you're new to the channel, we have a lot of videos in our pre-law, law school, and beyond playlist. Some of them I'm going to refer to in today's video for a more in-depth explanation of things. But if you haven't already, check those out, subscribe to the channel so that you know when we post videos every week. We've tried to vary it during the week and also on the weekend so that people, depending on when people are available, they can watch it. So keep that in mind. Okay, and we're gonna get started, and people can, I guess, jump in when they come in. But we're gonna talk about the do's and don'ts of law school. And I know let me preface it by saying there's more than one way of doing things, but this way has worked for a majority of the people. There might be some outliers, like I didn't do it this way, and therefore you ain't gotta do it that way. Sometimes it's despite what you did that you got where you got, not because of what you did. So keep that in mind when people say, I didn't do that, so you don't have to do that. It's not always required. That's true. It maybe not be required, but do you want to really take your chance? Does it really hurt you to do it a certain way to see if you can possibly get the end result you're looking for? I don't know. So let's just dive right into it, and then people will join in later. It's a nice day outside. Maybe they're out enjoying the weather and you can watch it on the replay. Okay, so the first do's and don'ts, I guess I can go back and forth between the do's and the don'ts of law school, is so when you're actually applying for jobs, whether it be internships or post law school jobs, make sure you send thank you emails to the people that helped you. So those could be people that, like, professors that wrote emails for, wrote recommendations for you. I know personally when I applied for a clerkship job, I applied for several clerkships at the same time, maybe like 20 different clerkships. So I had to get my professors to sign off on a lot of recommendation letters, right? Because they were made out to different judges. They didn't have to write the letters, and I had to print them out on different papers and have them sign it. So after I finished, what I did was send them a nice email and also got them a little gift, token gift to say thank you. Of course, they don't need the gift. It's just a token gift to say we appreciate it. These professors I still keep in touch with to this day. So one of the do's of law school is make sure you are keeping your connections and being thankful and appreciative when someone helps you out. It's all about who you know and networking. You can't get a lot of these positions unless you have somebody's recommendation letter. I know for clerkships, you need at least 3 letters of recommendation. Check out my law school, the law school playlist for how I got a judicial clerkship if you want to know more about that. But I would say a do send thank you emails and even little token gifts for people who really helped you and go over beyond and try to help you secure that job post law school or even for a summer internship. So that's the first one, do. Let's hop into don't. A don't will be, don't be intimidated by people who are in higher positions than you. I know law school and lawyers and judges can seem very out of touch, like, okay, this person is a judge. Oh my gosh, this person is a partner at this law firm, and you may not see them as human. don't get intimidated by them. I'll give you a little short story about someone who worked at my law school. She had been in the private sector, and people were, I guess, intimidated by her. She wasn't very nice to people, including me, and I had an interaction with her. And I didn't back down. I was respectful, but I didn't back down. Just because she was in a position of power at the school did not mean that I didn't deserve respect. And I think she told me, well, when you get to your job after law school, somebody's going to throw a paper at you and say, fix this. And I said, well, if I get that kind of job, I won't be working there anymore. You have choices. You don't have to be subjected to all kind of abuse just because you want that dream job. And so I found a job that I liked. And after law school, I had another job after that. And so I wasn't going to compromise my values because for the sake of, oh, I worked at this big firm. So don't get intimidated by people. That's a don't for you guys. Don't get intimidated by what people, what you feel people in a high position. Even some judges, unfortunately, they might get a little chip on their shoulder because they became a judge and not become as relatable. Thankfully, I didn't have that experience when I interned and when I clerked. I had awesome judges that I worked for. But I saw some other people who had judges, and they were talking about my judges like mean. Like, and people like lawyers, everybody was scared of them. And so I would say don't be intimidated. They're people too. So don't get intimidated by people in high positions than you. And it can work for the reverse. Sometimes you might be intimidated for no reason. They might be really nice if you just go up to them and talk to them. So that leads to my next do. Do be friendly to everyone that you meet. If you watch my clerkship video, I talked about how I got the job. And part of it was because I was interning with other law students, and we all wanted this position. But the judge's secretary really liked me. She got along with me. We got along with each other. We talked about hair stuff and eating and all kind of stuff. And so me being friendly to not just all the judges I want the job, I was friendly to everybody. And it was a genuine friendship. Like, okay, I'm nice. And she put in a good word for the judge. The judge like, well, who you think I should pick? And she says, pick LaRita. And so that's what I'm saying. Being friendly to everybody. You never know who knows who. It's kind of like less than 6 degrees of separation when you get into the legal career, the legal field. And so you don't want somebody to say, oh no, I saw this person being mean to this person. Don't pick them for the job. You want to be friendly, be nice, be kind to people. And they'll have nice things to say about you. You don't want it to be negative when people talk about you. So keep that in mind as a do. So that was a don't and a do combined. The next one is do be prepared for cold calling. When you get to law school, if you didn't know about it, I think I talked about it in one of my other videos. You got to go check it out to see which one it is. But do be prepared for cold calling. When the professor calls on you, you want to be prepared. Read your cases and appear prepared. I know during the pandemic, I think people still get cold called on virtually, but when you get back into the classrooms, be prepared so that you don't end up feeling horrible when you walk out of the cold call. It's going to be nerve-wracking regardless whether you're prepared or not, because the professor's calling directly on you. But you want to be prepared, and don't, this goes along with the do, don't appear to be too overly cocky about what you know, because the idea is not to necessarily get the perfect answer from you. The idea the professor wants you to do is actually think through it, talk through it with him or her. And so if you come across like, oh, I know the answer to that, and that's into that, the professor is going to go even deeper in on you. Like, okay, you know the answer to that one. Let's move on to something else that I think you may not know. And let's see how we can test that out for you. So that's a do. Do be prepared, but don't be overly cocky about it. Be confident, but not overly cocky about it. So that's a do. Let's go to the don'ts too. This kind of is hand in hand with the cold calling. If someone else is being cold called and they seem like they're struggling, they don't know the answer, they weren't prepared, they didn't do the do. If you know the answer, don't be blank about it. Like, oh, I know the answer, and kind of like talking amongst yourselves with other people and making the person feel like guilty, because you know what will happen? The next time it could be you in the hot seat. And if you had given that bad energy while somebody else was struggling, karma will come back very fast. So don't be a little jerk. Let's say jerk. We can say that. A little jerk when someone else is being cold called and is on the hot seat, because you never know, it might be your turn and you may not know the answer for the next time that someone's being cold called. So keep that in mind. So that was a do and don't together. A lot of these law school etiquette things are do's and don'ts together, like do this, but don't do this. Keep in mind. So I try to keep it positive and to balance out the things you're not supposed to be doing as well. So here's the next one. Do have someone in the legal field edit your resume. I see this often that people come from outside of law school and they have their standard resume, and it kind of looks a mess to someone who's in the legal field. In the legal field, we have a certain way that we format our resumes. And similar to how we write in the legal field, when someone looks at a piece of paper and they say, okay, they're looking for certain things in certain places. And if you're not familiar with that format, you may end up in the trash pile because they just don't have the patience for looking through for the information they want to have from you. So have someone, and I know there's sometimes the organization that you can join, they have like resume workshops or something. Go to those because the people that come in and volunteering are in the field and they know what you should be looking for. And I know I took my thing, I was like, oh yeah, my resume is good. It's like, oh, change this. I was like, okay, I'll go change it. And I changed it, but it looked way better. How they organize it, where you have your education at the top for undergrad, your GPA, that's important only if you have above a 3.0. The things that you're doing in law school, put those in there, especially if you're doing clinics or you had internships, put those information in there. And it's organized differently than how I was when I previously had a job before the legal career. So I would say it would be really helpful to have someone who's in the legal field to edit your resume. And if you're trying to get into law school, there's also a resume that you'll have that someone else who's in the legal field should edit, because usually the people in the admissions at the law school are previous lawyers. Not all the time, but some of them are previous lawyers. And so if you have your resume formatted in a way that is pleasing to the eye, your chance of perhaps getting into that particular law school may increase because you've made it easier for that person who's doing review of a lot of resumes and applications. So keep that in mind. Use your resources that you have available to actually make sure that your resume looks up to par. So that would be a do. Here's a don't. Don't limit yourself to practice areas that you like. I'm going to go this. A lot of people like, I'm going to do corporate law, and they're not open to any other fields. If you watch Tracy's recent video about how to pick your practice area, she talks about the ways that you can figure out which one you want to do. And it may not be the one that you went into law school knowing about, and keep an open mind about it. So watch her video. She goes into more detail about it, but don't kind of put yourself in a box and say, I only want to do this, because I went into law school wanting to do one field and then ended up in totally different fields. And I was glad that I was open to the experience. So that would be another don't. Don't box yourself in. Also, don't box yourself in as far as, I don't need to have experience because I'm going to hang my own shingle. I don't need to work for it. I'm going to work for myself. I would say, even if you're going to hang your own shingle, get experience on someone else's dollar, because you're going to make mistakes, and you would rather make it with someone else who's paid for the mistakes other than you doing it on your own dollar. And you're like, oh man, that cost me a little bit. I'm going to have to work extra hard to make up for that. So even if you're the person that's going, like, you're going for, let's say you're double JD and MBA, because you just know you want to be your own solo practitioner or have your own firm, still get experience by doing internships and just finding experiences during law school, whether it's a clinical program or just talking to other professors or people who are actually in the field. Take advantage of that, because those are invaluable experiences to you. So keep that in mind. Okay, we have a guest here. We have Cerebral One. Thank you. Excellent advice. Thank you. Are you a current law student, or are you a aspiring lawyer? Let us know in the comment section. I'm trying to give some good advice. I don't know where people lie on the scale, whether they're in law school or they're trying to get into law school. So I'm trying to just give open advice. But here's another one. This is for mostly 1Ls. Don't hide materials from other people. This kind of goes down back to pre-pandemic, where in your 1L year, you often had to do some research in the library and actually have to have physical books for things. And at some law schools, not my law school, but some law schools, people would try to hide the materials after they found the answers to the questions. In law school, if you didn't know, law school is on a graded curve, meaning everybody can't get an A because they have a certain amount of A's they can give out, certain amount of B's, certain amount of C's, right? So that being the case, or pass or fail, that being the case, people are very competitive to the point that they would try to sabotage you. Don't you be that person that sabotages someone. As I mentioned before, karma will come back to you. And if you are trying to sabotage people, trying to hide material so that somebody else can't find the answer because you've already found it, just keep in mind that's not going to last forever. I don't know as far as during the pandemic, since a lot of things were electronic, how people try to do that. But hopefully, people have come away from that practice. But it's crazy that they even got to that point to begin with. So keep in mind, I hope that you're very friendly and everybody can get the answer to the question, and you're not the one that's hiding the books in the library, throwing them, hiding them or whatever. So okay. Okay. So Vermont Law School, we have a person from Vermont Law Schools on the live. So welcome to TXC, the channel, and hopefully you may be able to give advice as you're an African American lawyer as well. So you might have some advice for the people who are aspiring lawyers. You've been there, done that. I'm sure you don't want to do it again. Law school and the bar exam is very challenging in and of itself, and you kind of just want to do it once if you can. Even if you just try like your hardest. Some people don't pass the bar the first time, but they're like, let's finish this off. If you watch my little short the other day, I talked about a young woman, or older woman actually, because she's been out of law school for a while. She's tried to pass the bar for 10 years and she finally passed. I was happy for her because I'm like, thank God. That's like hanging over your head. You couldn't get a job after you had your degree and she finally passed. I was like, yay! I don't even know this lady. But I was happy for her, and her kids were grown by then. So I was happy for her. So yeah, Cerebral One is from Vermont Law School. So if anybody's interested in Vermont Law School, we have somebody on the live today, and if he or she wants to give any tips that they learned from the do's and don'ts. I know another one is about rescinding job offers. So if you're in a position where, let's say you got a job offer for your summer after 1L year or 2L year, and you're like, I have a couple of job offers. I accepted one, but then I got another one that I really wanted. And then you're like, well, how should I rescind the job offer? What should I do? The etiquette of job offers and accepting one and then reneging and saying, I don't really want this job, is to do it as soon as possible. One, because other people would have wanted that position. You basically took somebody's spot, and now you're like, okay, I don't want the spot. And so you want to at least let the employer know as soon as possible so that they can give somebody else an opportunity to have the position that you were taking up. And you want to do it in the nicest manner so that if you want to have a position at that place in the future, the door will still be open. They won't have a sour taste in their mouth about you rescinding it. And then keep in mind, so you want to kind of be strategic. If you really didn't want the position at all, you want to rescind it and go with the job that you really want. You still want to go ahead and say, okay, for future purposes, I want to have this job. I know when I was in my 2L year, I had interviewed for a position with, it wasn't JAG, it was a Navy position. It was a paid position, but also had an option to intern with the judge. And I wanted to clerk after law school, and the Navy position wasn't a guaranteed post graduate position. And so trying to weigh which one would be beneficial for me strategically, I'm like, yeah, I would like to get paid. Who doesn't want to get paid? But I'm like, I really don't want to do this after law school. If I do this judge position, it was paid through like a Equal Justice Works program. So it was a lesser pay, but it was still paid. And after that, I would perhaps be in line for that clerkship I really wanted. So if you think about weighing your options, say, okay, it's not what I would want, but this long term is what I want to be. It ended up working out for me because I got the clerkship even before I graduated law school. So keep that in mind when you talk about rescinding job offers. Like I said, some people, the market is very saturated. That doesn't mean that you can't get a job, because I got a job, you can get a job if I guess you work hard enough and do the right things. But you don't want to be in a position, if you're in a position that you have multiple job opportunities, keep that in mind, because some people don't have any. And you want to make sure that you're giving somebody else an opportunity before it's too late for them to make that decision. Because some people may move out of the area because they're like, oh, I didn't have any job opportunities because they didn't know that you were holding up a spot. So be considerate of other people who are also in the game like you are in the game. So I would say that would be another tip I have. Let me just make sure. Oh, I have one more. So here's another don't. Don't get stressed out, burnt out from um, poor lack of stress management. Law school is stressful. I won't sugarcoat it. It's stressful. Some people quit because they like, this ain't for me. It's not for everybody. And some people just, if they didn't have the proper resources, they may have been able to go forward with it. So keep in mind, when you say, I want to commit to law school, know that there's going to be some hurdles to climb, like hurdles to jump over, hills to climb, and that you want to make sure you do some stress management. Make time for yourself mentally so that you don't feel too overwhelmed. I know it's kind of, think of it, it's only 3 years. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. So don't get burned out is one of my other etiquettes, because you can't get burned out, and it will affect how you interact with people. Like, people get real stressed out. You know how we've been in this pandemic for like a year and people are like acting different because they're stressed out? Put that into a closed universe of law school, and people are acting real crazy as you're getting closer to the finish line because they're really stressed out as well. So try to do some stress management activities. If it's like take a walk, go do something for fun. Make sure you're doing your work, but make some time for fun, because you're gonna need it. This is a marathon, so keep that in mind. Anybody have any questions about the etiquette? I think I covered most of them that I wanted to cover. If you're not watching right now live, it'll be on the replay on the channel. But I think that I kind of covered a lot of them. I wanted to leave it open for any questions and answers, because I know we get them in some of our other pre-law, law school and beyond videos. So I wanted to leave it open for anyone who had questions. If not, we're going to wrap up. And thank you for the viewers who are here today. And Cerebral One, thank you for commenting on the video today. So hopefully you know, I tried to give them what I knew and what you probably already experienced as well. So we warned them. So I think that's all I have for today. I'm going to give people another minute, and then I'm going to close out the live. And we're going to try to do another one before the week is over. So if you have any ideas of what future lives will be, comment below. We'll try to do more lives. We try to get them in the last couple of weeks, but we'll try to do more lives so that we can have some live interaction with our viewers, our subscribers. So keep that in mind. One more. And all right. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to end up wrapping this up, and I'll see you in the next live. Bye.